All right. Hello, folks. Goodness, it's been a little bit. What is that? Put some on in December, so we're still in January. So a few a month will be good. Hope everybody's well. Hope everybody's safe out there and staying warm and staying well. I had a really bad cold right after Christmas, and man, I still sound a little stuffy, and I may have an occasional cough still. So just ignore that. Skip over that part, or maybe I'll put a little cough button in here that I can step on like they do on radio. But anyway, I've got a 16 by 20 inch canvas up here. I put a little bit of liquid white on there. I don't like using it anymore too much. Actually, I put whatever the stuff you get at Hobby Lobby is called, liquid first coat white by Grumbacher. It works pretty good. But I wanted a little mist in here today, and it's just easier to use it if you want a little mist. Make sure we're recording there. Good. So I've got several brushes I want to try. Mainly this is just going to be a tree tutorial, but we'll make a painting out of it too. Try not to spend too much time doing anything, but we've got a little bit of color here made up, and all I've got is Van Dyke Brown or Burnt Umber. Actually is what I'm using. Burnt Umber and Prussian Blue. That is it. And I'm going to have a little bit of titanium white. So I'll take a little bit of titanium white, about like that, and a little bit of that color, about like that. And I want to make a starting tree color here. We're gonna use different brushes and make different kinds of trees in this one, and all sorts of little fun things. So I'm taking some of that dark color and putting some white in it to start out with. Much lighter value to start than at the end of the painting, right? We'll be using pretty much the dark color straight. And I'm just mixing over here on my palette. I know, man, I need to start. People are gonna be like, I'm gonna turn the channel here because nothing's happening. So I am here. I'm gonna use a fan brush to start. I think, yeah, we'll try it. I may switch back and forth, and I can also just mix the color right on the fan brush. You don't have to get fancy with the palette knife. All right. So I'm just going to make some little trees back here. And I really don't want anything in the sky yet. We're going to fill up this whole canvas with nothing but trees just going all over here. So we definitely want to have some that are going to be just little strike down trees in the background here. And I'm just going to kind of lay these out pretty quick. I'm going to leave pretty much the side of that canvas on the left side open. This is just a misty, foggy day. You gotta see how I make these. Keep that brush kicked up towards your ceiling. You don't want to have it like this and go in. It's easier to not use the bottom of the brush. For me, I like to have it kicked up so I can kind of see a little bit better what I'm doing. And right now I don't care that there's much detail in this at all. So I'm just letting the brush run out of paint, and I'll go back and reload the brush as I need to. I love this color. It's greeny and it looks like distant trees. This could be an Oregon-y painting. And I'm sitting here. I may change my mind and put something up in that corner. Let the paintbrush here run out of color. Now, those look awful, right? They should look awful at this point, but if you're ever worried about them, just kind of go back and, just put a little top on one or two of them. Just like that. Okay, that way that they're all not the same value. Having the same values in a painting is probably not the best. Let's fill up that side of the canvas here. Like the trees are, we don't even know where they stop, right? Coming down through here. This will be a super beginner one. I mean, you can see you can't really go wrong here. You don't have to worry about too much. We'll stop there for now. But again, I'm not going to reload that brush. I'm going to keep it kind of just loosey-goosey here, and I've never said that in my life, I don't think. But, and just kind of come down this way. You could probably start out with a brush that is wiped out and probably have a little bit better luck there. And I'll show you what I'll do to kind of get a little separation in here between these. They don't want that much white up in the sky, really. Let me bring this a little bit more down. Okay, let's play around with a big brush now. And let's see what we can do. Actually, I think I'll stick with a 1-inch brush. Plenty big for this size canvas. All right, so we'll just start over here. And again, usually when I'm hitting that canvas, I'm never hitting with the brush straight in like this. I'm going to turn that brush up and just look at the top part of the bristles kind of hitting on the canvas there. And that really gives you a little bit more control over what you're doing. That's the only reason that I'm doing it that way. Now, you could take the brush like this for something like this. Look, just get crazy, it doesn't really matter. Sorry for the bad shadow. I think you guys will be able to see a little bit better, but for me, I'm just seeing my hand. I got some lighting in here now that's a little different, trying it out. This is the first time. I made a video of a painting that I just did not like. It didn't turn out as well as I thought in my head it would. So I didn't share it. Maybe I've got it. Maybe someday. Maybe someday I'll share it. Who knows? And then back in here, I don't care too much about what's happening. I'm probably going to strengthen that just a little bit to give it a little separation in there. But just some of that color up in here even. Kind of tapping around. And you leave the sky kind of white. Oh, look at that. Just taking that brush and just letting kind of brushing that tree into there. I don't know. This will even make them look further away. Whatever. You can't mess things up on something like this. You can always go back. See how distant they look now? Let's see if they look that way on the camera. Yeah. So, I mean, put a little color up here and then just kind of scrub it in a little bit. And it will make the trees even look further away. And you can use this on any kind of painting. And that way we've got a little bit of something up in the sky area. I'm just raising some of that color. I don't know if you can see it. There, I'll start using my left-handed paint. But stretching some of those background trees up. And I'll fix this one. I'm going to grab a little bit of that one. I ain't worried about it. There we go. Something. Now it looking very misty. Very misty. Can swirl up in here. Turn that into something else. Yeah, then let's spend just a couple minutes more on those before we move on to the next one. So these are the fan brush trees that you I've always called them strike down because that's kind of what you're doing. What you don't want to do is just do that. You can do that to lay it out, but you'll have fence posts. You know a famous painter that always said that. Be careful of the fence post ones. And I'm just putting a little bit more dark back in to bring some of those back out. I don't want much detail on these at all. I just kind of want them to be what they are. And we'll beat them up again. My favorite thing. So in here, if I got some dark color there showing, I'm going to add a little bit more beef to this one because we did that in the background. And again, if you're watching me, it's probably, I'm kind of a backwards guy anyway. It's probably better to watch each step. If you're trying to paint along, I don't intend these to be tutorials, guys. You can paint along with them. And I'll share what I know. Do you think I know everything? Goodness, I know. If this is the vast knowledge of art, I know that much, right? Okay? And there's people that, you know tons more than me. My favorites to watch are like Chuck Black and David Jensen, and people that I'll probably never be able to paint like Andrew Titchler, Kevin Hill. I mean, I think we can aspire to that, but Kevin is a fabulous artist. And to give you a little inspiration, he started out as a Bob Ross person, I think. So you always want to look to somebody that's better, right? For me, I want to find somebody that's better than me and watch them. I don't want to watch people that are similar to me, because I want to keep getting better and better and better. And one way we do that is just to keep painting. So I got to take my own advice sometimes. Life gets in the way sometimes of painting. I can just kind of pull those up a little bit. We're going to make some detailed trees in here. But I appreciate you guys watching, even though I'll never understand it. YouTube is a weird place. Weird place. I've had so many recently ask me about doing a Patreon account or doing things like that. I think I have super things on here now that you can donate. And a couple of you kind folks sent like 10, 20 bucks in around Christmas time. to thank me for the videos. It's not necessary. I'm not going to be sharing like crazy things on here that, you know, takes a lot of effort. I mean, this is just me sitting on a Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. wanting to get a little paint on the canvas. And again, maybe trying to help some people paint some trees. But other than that, people asking me about doing all those things, I don't know that I want to. Would I like to do this for a living? I am doing it for a living. So I worked with Steve last year, and we've got some things maybe this year. You never know what will happen. Steve's kind of recovering from some health issues. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm going to be in Alaska painting. I'm going to be in Michigan painting. A few other places. So got plenty of stuff going on. And it is kind of a somewhat of a career, I guess now. But I still do it for fun. When it becomes all about money, actually before I was worried about the YouTube thing and money and making money on here, I had more fun, honestly. And I put more videos on. So when it becomes a job, sometimes you lose a little bit of the joy in it. So if if you're selling paintings and things, that's great. But be careful. There will be a time when you're like, I'm out of ideas. I'm out of motivation. I'm out of whatever. You know, that's why I don't put too many videos on at one time. And I know I'm talking a lot. Apparently I talk more in the morning than I do at night. I have to have something new to create to make sure that people... I don't want to just paint the same thing. I don't want to do a mountain every time. I don't want to do... the same layout of a scene. And I get in the habit of doing that, and I don't think it's worth sharing with folks. That's just me. There's nothing wrong with doing it, but that's just me. I'm weird. Alright. Sorry, I don't know if you guys noticed little jumps and things in the video, but I have coughing fits still. So I had to take a cough break there. Just pause the video. Again, I may come back later and kind of strengthen that just a little bit even. Like I said, this tree tutorial video types. I didn't want to paint some trees. It's kind of rainy and snowy here today. These types of things remind me of like being out Oregon, Washington, and all those places that I just absolutely love. Shout out to my Oregon peeps out there in Portland. But yeah, so I wanted to paint trees, so that's why we're doing this. I'm gonna switch to a dagger brush. Let's try make some trees. I'm gonna use like 4 or 5 different tree brushes here, or brushes that, I mean, a tree brush could be my finger if I wanted it to be. Well, let's just bring some bigger trees in here now. We still want this background, but we want these to be a little bit darker. Actually, I want to add just a touch more white to that. Oh, this is a little bit darker in value, but not super dark. You can almost use the same color and just use a little more of the black into that. That's what I'm going to do, just pick up a little black right into that same color. Because remember, we're only using the one color plus white, which the one color was made with 2 colors, right? That was Prussian Blue, which is my favorite blue to use. Almost don't use phthalo anymore. And burnt umber. But I see a tree right here. We make a little line wherever we think that will. This dagger brush makes perfect lines. You could almost use this thing as a liner brush, really. That's how nice of trees it can make. But however you use it, it doesn't matter. It's meant to be used for whatever you think it is. So I'm not going to worry about the kind of the angle of the brush or telling you guys exactly how to hold it. It's kind of silly. I'll show you on a fan brush how to do that, because there is certain ways that make a better effect for trees, but all I'm doing is using this. Again, there's the brush, a little synthetic filbert. And somebody like Chuck Black lives on these, Andrew Titchler, the guys that you would consider artists. I hope nobody considers me an artist. I paint. I'm just kind of, you see what I'm doing with this? Just hardly any paint. I need to darken that a little bit so you can see it. I'm just being careful with it because we are working on a wet canvas here. So normally I would not advise making trees by just kind of pulling them out like this. But if you don't use a lot of paint and you don't have a lot, if I had a big mountain back here, this wouldn't work, right? A big globs of white back there. But and we can leave a little bit of it bare, whatever we want to do. Making sure I hit record again. I sat down and painted one time. It's been a year or so ago. I was going to put a video on, and I forgot to hit record. By the end of it, I was like, well, shoot. I had the camera set up too, so. Let's see how nice of trees you can make by doing this. Now, like I said, be careful if you've got a lot of paint back there because it's just going to smear that paint. But if you're working with a Misty scene or something, or you've let your painting dry, don't be afraid to let your painting dry, let it sit. But you can really get that nice look of a tree. And we're not going to worry about highlights today. I don't think. You never know. I might change my mind. Again, I'm going back and getting a little dark every time and going back to the same greenish blue color. And we want to, at the bottom of these, we're going to mist them out. So, see how I'm using that? Just kind of pulling the paint, just barely. All I'm doing. There's nothing magical here. You can do this. A lot of people say, I'll never be able to paint like, well, sure, you can paint like me. You can paint like anybody. It takes time and just sitting down and doing it. There is no one more talented than you. That's a guarantee because you're the only one that matters. Me painting something, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. If you paint something, it's yours. You created it. Even if it's something, that somebody shows you how to paint. You're still creating those scenes, and you should feel good about it. There's one. We could always knock a little bit of it off. At the bottom, maybe. I'm just taking some of the color right at the base and just misting it out like there's some fog and mist in here. Look at that, how I set that tree back in there. We want to save a good bit of that white. We don't want to know where that tree ends. That's the kind of the way I want this painting to look at the end. And then super simple painting. Something fun with trees and trying different brushes out. I love that tree. Let's do one more with this brush maybe. Then we'll switch to something else. Maybe at the end we'll use the knife for a tree. Very much the colors that I used in that rendition of Bob's Shades of Gray. So if you like that one, this would be a good color one, a good color to use for other paintings similar to that. Not quite gray, is it? I think it's a mixture that Bob used. Kind of a Payne's gray. Kind of a brown and a blue together. And we'll just we'll make this one a little bit sparser. So at the top, so it doesn't get lost here, we'll make it a little bit darker too. The old filbert's going to make an appearance. It had become my tree brush of choice, but kind of got back. You get into moods. Kind of got back into the fan brush mode, and whatever. Well, I think I mentioned earlier I'm going to be in Alaska again. If any of you Alaska folks are on here, come and paint with me. Steve will not be with me. It'll just be me. My wife Karen's coming along. We're going to make a sort of a working vacation out of it. I'm just happy to be back in Alaska. I would move there, I think. Maybe this old tree is already looking rough down towards here. Leaving enough space between them. We'll be in Alaska in July. And Michigan in June. Yeah, a couple other trips coming up. I haven't quite completely finalized. Super easy, and you can do these the faster you do these, the better they probably look. And what I'm doing here is making sure that this one, I just need a little color down here to mist out. This one's a little bit lower, just a little bit. They're not on the same plane. But a few more trips coming up maybe. And then we're painting here in Tennessee. So if you're ever here around the Smoky Mountains, let me know and you can come and we'll paint together in person. You see how crazy I am in person, which is crazier than I am on these videos. In a good way, I think. Bad jokes, you know, all that good stuff. There we go. Again, we're just wanting some of that color to mix in with that liquid white. This is a good thing. If you don't have liquid white, you don't want to buy it. Get you some linseed oil, titanium white, make your own. You know, this is not traditional painting, and we're not talking that anybody, most of you guys included, no offense intended, would be on the level of somebody like Van Gogh or Rembrandt or any of those guys, but they didn't run to the art store typically to get their stuff. Usually. I don't know how many art stores were around back in the times of the old masters, especially even further back. They made their pigments and everything, so create your own stuff. We need one more tree here. Whoa, that one coming even further down. And then we'll finish out, I didn't want to raise it up that high. This one's going to be a little bit darker, just a tiny bit. You can buy these daggers just about anywhere. And they've become, I don't know, you gotta realize I haven't been an artist all my life, so I didn't start till I was almost 40 painting. Never too late. But what I was trying to say there, finish my thought, is these daggers have been around, I'm sure, for a long time, but I noticed a lot of people are starting to use them more and more. I used them for rocks on one of the videos and they worked super well. The lay on color and things. There we go. Look at that. And we're just bringing that one just a little bit further down. Saving some of that white back there was important because it gives us that separation between those background trees. This is very Twin Peaksy to me, this whole painting, and we haven't finished it. I did a similar one like this years ago. Not a very good one. It kind of looks like they're on the same plane. Let's work on that just a tad bit. Bring out some of the detail here. And we'll make it a little darker down here so we have something to differentiate those planes. A little bit of color and swirl that out. Trees are sitting here. Very loose. There we go. I like those trees. Really like those trees. Alright, so what brush do we go to next? I should have done this one on a live video. Maybe people would have been around. Oh, let's use the old filbert. An old filbert here. Okay. Alright, so let's go a little bit darker. Using that same original color that had white and our base color of blue and brown. We'll go a little bit darker this time. And you notice we're working in swoops here. This one's over this way. Now I'm going to bring one kind of swooping down this way. But I probably only want to paint one. You only get one filbert tree today. Practice these. Something like this on a cardboard box you can just throw away later. You don't need to keep this painting if you don't like it. But it's practice with the approach with it. Let's make this one just a little bit smaller. And our big one. You can still make a line with the filbert. It's a little bit thicker. The less pressure on that brush, just kind of let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it run out. Okay? Now let's do an up tree. No, we'll stick. I'm gonna save the up trees for another one. And we're gonna make them pretty much the same way, but we're just gonna tap on these. Just tap. And this guy will be a little bit fuller. And it really starts to look good when you get down the tree a little bit. See that? Maybe a little bit darker. It's changing your values as you go, as you need to. I hope you can see that as I'm working down the canvas. The filbert makes wonderful trees, and the highlighting is wonderful with the filbert. Maybe you skip either just a tree had a bad year that year. Well, there's army there. Army. Branchy maybe. Working a little bit darker than those. You want to make sure your values are changing as you work down a canvas. Darker, darker, darker as you get down the canvas. And maybe right in there another little bit. And you can make these, again, most of the time if you do these fast, they even work better. You know me, I don't like to paint fast, so. While we're I used to get angry when people would say, well, I painted this in 22 minutes. Like, why do you need to tell people that? You can say it's quick painting, but it's like you're bragging about you only spent that much time painting. Painting to me is a relaxation form. I'm not thinking about anything else right now than what's on this canvas. I'm not thinking about what's going on in the world, what's going on in anything really. It's just kind of a way to relax and enjoy the process. Now it is kind of weird talking to you guys, but pretty much I think just maybe from a psychology perspective, I'm talking to you guys, and I'm also just kind of talking to myself on a subconscious level, answering things in my head as I go. I don't know, I'm being weird right now. I've been reading a lot. I'm trying to stay off social media some. I think it's probably healthier. That doesn't mean I'm off it completely. I deleted Facebook, I deleted Reddit, and all those things from my phone. I will not join TikTok. I did at one point and got addicted to watching those funny little videos. I'm like, looked at my phone one time, and all of a sudden I've got like 3 hours one day on TikTok. I'm like, what? Why? I worry it stifles our creativity when we only watch other people do things. So, and here I am wanting you to watch my videos, right? Do as I say, not as I do. But yeah, I've been feeling much better mentally, and focusing on things and getting things done, getting up, being energized. I read a book called Stolen Focus. That's a good one, especially for any parents of young kids out there. That's a good one. Dopamine Nation. I think Dopamine Nation was another good one. I don't think it was a good one. I think that's the name of it, Dopamine Nation. Yeah, I'm creating another little place for a tree there. Again, very simplified painting, that somebody might like. We can even start adding a little bit in here. What if that goes on? I don't know. You didn't have to. On yours. Decide what you want to do with it. Okay, and that's the only filbert one we're going to make. But you saw how easy that was. And you can do it the same way if you want up trees. You're going to push up on the brush. We'll get just a tiny bit of paint thinner. Don't have much paint on here, so I don't need much. But I don't want this to be kind of naked there. There's one. Maybe didn't make it. If you struggle with the script liner, I've got a little video on that. Actually, for the helpfulness of the videos that I make, it's probably more helpful than most. I finally conquered this little thing. I was using a small script liner. I like the longer ones, got the longer hairs. Kevin Hill makes a really nice one. We're working on one to put out. This is just old naked tree. What we could do, maybe I lied to you. What I just don't want to do is have an even number of trees at the end. Does That's the only consideration we really want to make here as we work on these, working down the canvas. But yeah, let me ask, you got any books that you suggest? Send them to me. I've been trying to spend a good bit of time reading instead of being on Facebook and all the other places. Of course, I'm sitting in front of my computer. I'm bad to get on Facebook. I'm doing better. I think we should all do better. The world is out there, and the world's much more interesting than what goes on these Facebooks and all those other things. All right, what we can do, grab my filbert again. Oh, I don't know. I don't even know if we need to, but I will. Just barely touch a couple little dots on here, like maybe there's a little foliage on there. See that? But most of this tree has left us. It's gone. Said I'm out. And I'm just tapping with that filbert. Again, I want this one to be like one that's kind of asleep. Kind of had enough. Maybe you've had enough. I don't know. Like me, maybe I'd had enough with all the craziness of social media. I think it'd be good for everybody to take a little break. My next conquering mission is to get off YouTube as much, and not like my videos. You need to be on watching my videos. I spend so much time watching videos. I got into watching Christmas. My daughter got me God of War Ragnarok. Excellent game. Wonderful game. I played it when I was sick, once I felt good enough to be out of the bed. And it's just, if you're a gamer, it's a fabulous game. Beautiful, good story, all that stuff. But I got into the thing of watching people play God of War Ragnarok on YouTube. I'm like, why am I watching these people? I've already played this game. So waste time in other ways, I guess. But I'm trying to do better with myself. Trying to spend 7 hours a week painting. Doesn't sound like a lot to some. It sounds like a lot to others. It depends on what you consider a lot to be. But I'm working on just doing that and trying to be a little more creative and a little more in control of my time. Maybe I'm gonna put just a little bit. I didn't mean to get that dark. I'm gonna wipe my brush off. I don't like that big void there, so I'm just gonna literally just kind of put a little bit of something here for those trees to have sat on. And then I'm gonna take an old bunny brush, a blender, whatever you want to call it. Different people call it different things. Is it a hot brush or hockey, Hake, mop brush. These are all different names that are used. Like there's a little hill there for those trees to sit on. Still leaving a lot of that in there. These are great for this kind of painting. Actually, this would have been wonderful to use right in there. I forgot I had it laying here. Your finger is also a nice brush to use sometimes. All right. This is why I say watch the video before you try it. Don't just paint along with me. Sometimes I do crazy things like go back, paint back to front, not front to back. But I change the rules. And once you get a little bit of experience under your belt, you can do that. I will say, you all know, most of you that watch me and paint, know that you have to kind of have a stopping point sometimes. And finding that stopping point to when you say, oh, that painting's done, it's the hardest thing I've found to do, right? Yeah, just creating little layers here. I'm not going to blend these too much, just kind of bringing them out. Making those angles. Something like that will work. Alright. Flat brush. Let's do one with the flat brush. See what the difference is. Give old buddy a shout out. There's a painting by Justin brush. Hopefully Justin's feeling okay. Doing well. Alright. So let's see here. What do we want to do? We want to use more black, right? Black, sorry. More of the dark. That's our blue and our brown mixture. By the way, that mixture, and I should have mentioned it, I didn't. I'm sorry. That mixture was not like equal. It was about a 7-to-1 ratio, so it's a lot more brown than the blue, because the blue will eat up the brown. So mostly brown and a little blue. Until you get a color you like. You may not like the color I'm using, so find one that's appealing to you to use. Don't worry about my mixture, really. Yeah, right. Yeah, we know we don't want to put it right in the middle, do we? We don't want to do that, no. So what we want to do instead is maybe go just a little to the left, a little to the right. I don't want to mess those up. I don't want to mess these up. So these are getting quite tall on us. And we can do the same thing here. We could tap a line on if we wanted to. Okay? Or with a flat, it's very easy to control it. That you can drag. If you don't put any pressure on this brush, you'll get a nice, I got a little thick right there, you see that? Didn't follow my own advice. But you can get a nice little edge there on that. And what we should do first before we use the brush, let's make some little branches real quick. And I like the branches just to kind of get a little smaller as we go up the... Oh, I got too much paint thinner. I don't know if you guys can see that. I always say you can't get too much paint thinner, but you can. I just did. I'll cover that one up with some foliage. I like these trees that just kind of have branches that almost go straight out from the tree. I am waiting for my first arborist to come to class so I can figure out what kind of trees I'm painting. I love trees. You ever come to my house for a painting class, you'll see so many trees. I'd like to have, 100 acres and have just about every tree you can imagine. I'm very careful to not get any invasive trees in the area, which is so hard to do because nurseries sell things that probably they shouldn't. But we try. A lot of Japanese maples. They do fairly well in our area. They don't do great. I'm worried after the big cold snap how they're going to do. We don't want to lose our maple trees. Go back and put a few. Oh, well, that doesn't look bad. Heck, you could paint a tree with this script liner. I mean, I could have done the line. I just put some branches, and I could even put foliage on here with this thing. They get less as they get down the tree, but they also get a little bit bigger. They'd be a little bit further out if you're looking at these kinds of trees. I like to just kind of put a few just kind of barely off the tree. Looks a little more realistic to me. Oh, we'll lose that one in that tree, so it really won't matter. So maybe there. Oh, that one, look at that. Hey, a branch kind of come off of that one. That will really round that tree or round the painting even to give it some depth. Excuse me. My nose is getting runny again. I am sick of getting colds. Flew down to see Steve in December, and I don't know if I got something on the airplane coming back because I wasn't sick when I was down there. It was a couple days later, maybe 3 or 4 days later actually, or if it's just out Christmas shopping or whatever it was. But as I said, Steve had some health issues and he's working through that, doing really well. I'm proud of him. I don't know if he watches it. I think he probably sneaks in watching my videos too. But I'm proud of you, buddy, for all the changes you've made and continue to make for your health. Doing really well. Better than I am. many branches you want on your trees, up to you. There. Okay, so we need a little bit of foliage here. A little bit of, we call it foliage, but you know what I mean. Tree stuff. I about said a bad word. So we'll just kind of take this old brush and still just kind of pushing down with it. And if I don't like this, by the way, I've never made one like this with this flat brush. So this is a first. It's kind of like when I made trees with the knife on that one painting. I'd never done it, and I just did it. And it worked out. It worked really well. I was thinking about doing one on this one, but I like the softness of the trees that are on here. You could do it flat, and I would not recommend changing the direction of your branches go on the painting, but I'm going to, because mine doesn't matter as much. It's not for sale, or well, somebody can buy it if you want it. But it's not like I'm creating this to try to make. But the flat brush probably would even do better, kind of pushing up in the branches, and you're using it pretty much like a fan brush, but you have a little bit more control over it. It's kind of why I like the filbert brush. You have a little bit more control over it, it seems to me. May not. Let's sock some in here, and it doesn't. I started up here, but I could go back and just indicate some little upward movements in here. Something like that. Yeah, that tree's starting to look pretty good. Super simple beginner painting we're probably 2/3 done with. If I would shut my mouth, probably get the painting done quicker, wouldn't I? I don't know, maybe you guys enjoy. I would love to hear some book recommendations, because I'm finishing reading a book called now While We Sleep. I recommend everybody read that one. Great research, well written. I've always, when I used to teach psychology at the university level or down here at Maryville College, I always spent probably too much time talking about sleep in an intro class. So it's always been something that's fascinated me. Why do we sleep? Because I hate to sleep. I like to fall. I like sleeping. I shouldn't say I hate it. I hate that we have to sleep. It seems like a waste of time, but reading that book, you find out how important that sleep is for our health and well-being. So, good book. I'm almost finished with that one. Trying to read a book a week. Like I said, staying off social media and things helps with having the time to do that. I'm putting a little more foliage down at the bottom, or more branches, I guess I should say, or whatever we want to call it. I don't like that guy. So what we got? 7 trees so far? 3, 5, 6. Eee. Let's just go ahead and add another stick tree there. Make it 7. I'm going to show you. I never thought of just showing you guys how to make just trees in a painting. Pretty much we made that with just a script liner. So we'll make another one just like that one. We used a brush to kind of do the end, but never be worried about using different brushes. I think a lot of us started out painting with Bob Ross, and Bob would try to use the same brush, for trees and for everything. Sometimes Bob had 27 minutes to complete that painting, so he could not spend a ton of time worrying about 18 different brushes. But you can, and I think it's worthwhile to find the brush that suits you. I might like this one, you might like something else. Alright, so we want this to go pretty tall. Maybe not off the canvas, but pretty tall, maybe. Look at that. And I'm just pulling up on that brush. Right there, we'll stop her there. Now, if you need to, you can go down. It doesn't matter the direction that you use. Look at that. I made a pretty nice tree there. Start of a tree, just with the script liner and a little bit of paint thinner, or whatever media or whatever solvent, or if you're using water mixable oils or acrylic, you just use water to thin down your paint. I'll make this one kind of quick. You know me, I'm lazy, so making little paintings like this turn out pretty nice. I mean, I've been looking at a lot of art lately, not traditionally like the wet on wet, but a lot of acrylics and things that use bold, vivid colors. And I wish I had the names to tell you guys. Maybe another video once I learn these people's names, but a couple of fabulous ones. And then some Asian inspired art, and then this kind of gives me that feel. I always loved when Bob did that one. I can't remember the name of it, but he used paint thinner and things in it. It really looked like an Asian style painting. Maybe you can be back in a Japanese maple in there, or a pagoda or something, and you have a beautiful painting. Another place I'd like to visit, Japan. We got a pretty, nice little tree. We want something right there, don't we? Let that side off. That we can be happy with there. And let's just keep. You could use the 1-inch or the little bunny brush. I'm just going to stick with the bunny brush for now. It's a little cleaner actually. But these guys will need somewhere to set, right? I want to knock the branch or the base of that tree into the painting. And just kind of swirl up some of that color. We can actually just clean off our brush by just kind of rubbing the canvas. It helps a little bit too. All right, let's see. Where do we can always just put a touch of color on that brush. Oh, maybe too much. When I say a touch, maybe use even less. Just to create little planes in the painting, wherever we want them to go. I have another one coming in here, and then we can. I would recommend you guys get some of these. You can also use, if you got some makeup brushes at home, those work great as a substitute for spending a lot on an artist grade brush. You can buy all makeup brushes on Amazon pretty cheap. Whole packs of them, much cheaper than you can go to like Jerry's and buy a bunny brush or a hawk brush, whatever. Hake brush, maybe it's called hake. Alright, just kind of create another little plane there in the painting. Misty. Well, I need a name for this one if you guys are so inclined. When you comment, I'll name it, but then I can change it. So I like your name better. Something Misty, right? This can't be detailed forest or anything. So we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect time to end the painting, right? Oh, you know me, and we'll put a couple more trees. Even though 7's a good number. Saving all that space. Look at that right there. Is how much mist. Tons of mist. You want that in this painting. Lose that mist and you've lost the painting. Separation in a painting is more important than anything. Creates those planes. Yeah. So we've got our fan brush strike down trees, our dagger trees, we've got our filbert trees and our script liner. We've got our combo of a script liner and a flat and just a script liner. What else do we have here? You can make pretty nice trees with a 1-inch brush. You really can. But I don't want to do that on this painting because it takes a lot of paint and it takes a ton of space. I mean, you can't make a skinny little tree like that very easily with the 1-inch brush. You can. I shouldn't say you can't. But we need a couple more little trees here, I think. We'll use it. We're going to go back to the fan brush, and we're going to go pretty much straight black, straight dark. Gotta get out of the habit of saying black. If I see a dark color, I say it's black. I see a light color, it's white. Not very good. Doesn't help people to figure out what I'm painting, that's for sure. And we may do a fan and then a filbert or something like that. But we got to figure out some nice placement of some trees. We don't want to cover up that. I really like that one. You know, I could have brought that one on down here, or let's see, I've got them on different planes. That helps. Well, let's put just make it dark down here. Let's put a one that kind of goes right up against these guys, and we'll fill in this side of the canvas and give the painting a little bit of a frame there. We'll just make it a little mark. Best not to drag down with the fan brush. Sometimes you get that line. Now if you're going to put a trunk, it really doesn't matter. But alright, and I wish you could see this a little better. But all I'm doing is we'll make a, we have any up trees on this? That one's kind of up. These are up trees. See how they're hanging up? How I pulled that out. So we'll do one down here. And you're just going to take the edge of that brush and just start pushing down. You push down, but the brush kind of goes up, right? You see that? And I'm working one corner of that fan brush back and forth. And then I'll flip it over because there's more paint on that other side now. But I'm still using, as I'm painting, I'm using one corner to paint. So a lot of people I see in classes that never painted before do this side with this side of the brush, and then they'll flip it over and go this way. Just go back and forth with the same one, and it's easier on you. Not digging this fan brush though. This one's been used to death. It's getting a little beat up. I like a thinner fan brush. That's just me. Doesn't have as many hairs. My dogs are starting to mill about. It's lunchtime for them. I'll finish this up and give the dogs lunch. I'm liking those better. Maybe I should have used a little bit of white in here. Not going pure black. Looking a little odd now. Go back over a little bit. Well, I'm not liking her fan brush. I'm gonna go grab me another fan brush and finish this painting. Alright, I've got a super old, never used, probably from the 80s, Bob Ross fan brush here. Show you how old it is. Made in Japan. The writing's weird on it. Weird in a sense that I don't have any like this. It's an old one I got out of one of those kits. Just wasn't enjoying that fan brush process. Maybe because I like doing the trees with the filbert, and all these look great. This one's looking a little gnarly. But there we go. Yeah, it's just a brush. I wasn't getting a nice bounce or anything with it. When you get a tree like this, you don't have to worry too much about that side. You're only really going to see what's going to happen over here. So I just kind of get wild and kind of go at it. Just reloading some paint. You gotta have paint to paint. Again, that brush is kind of pushing up as you're pushing down. See, I'm pushing down, and that's all that's making these trees. Nothing fancy here. Wish I had not, again, if you paint with me, wait and watch what happens, because this is not something I've practiced, or, I mean, when I say practice, I've practiced trees. I know how to paint a tree. Like the layout of this painting, or what would make sense color-wise, it got a little too dark there at the end. And I'm down here, probably just use the whole part of the brush now. You know, I would never recommend that at the start. See how I'm doing it? Just kind of filling that up. Wish I could lighten that up a little bit. I may be able to. We don't want it to get too big, so we'll probably just leave her. We'll leave her. Actually, you know me, I can't leave it. I'm going to go back over it with a good brush here now. Yeah, this brush is much nicer. The older Bob Ross brushes are excellent. You can find any old ones, get the Or if you can find any old Alexander ones too, those are great too. Some of my favorite ones are my Bill Alexander ones that work super well. When you do a tree and you go back and work it like this, you gotta let it grow a little bit. Because it would look odd for it to be really big at the top and not quite big. And then you may even want to just consider, because this really closes the canvas off. Again, frames that painting a little bit for you, but what I want to do now is just kind of bring out some little branches that, see how you get a little too much spacing, or not spacing, but yeah, and I do that still. A little too deliberate, and they look like a step, or a ladder, I should say. They look stair-stepped. That's what I'm trying to say. There. Oh, that was a little crooked, but it still looks pretty good. We'll leave her there. And even though you won't see this too much, I'm going to take this. I'm actually going to use this paint as an advantage now to create just some dark down in here, but not getting rid of all the white. And you can easily do this. I know I've got a brush maybe you don't have. If you try to paint something crazy like this, you're trying to work on trees, or just like this painting for whatever reason. But this is just a, you could use the 1-inch brush for this too. I'm just enjoying using this little guy. Oh, Copper's getting up. He's like, oh, time for my dinner. Time for my lunch. Lunch time. My dogs talk, so I don't know if your dogs can talk, but mine do. I'm looking at it. I just need to fill in more on this side, so kind of breaking free up there, but down there is pretty big. We want it to, I don't want a wonky tree there after having those really nice ones. Gonna fill that in a little bit. Yeah, that's better. Big old tree, huh? All right, let's switch back and do a couple of refresher trees here. We're going to use the dagger. Again, this is just my opinion. I like this little brush for a lot of things now. So I'm going to stay pretty dark, but again, I'm not going to go as dark as I did with that first tree. I'm loading that dagger up, and this is not a great dagger. This is not a good, this was a trial brush. It's not like super good, but that comes to a nice point. And I don't really want any huge trees besides that one in this painting. Okay? But what we do want, oh, maybe we'll cut through this just a little bit. And we don't even know where it ends. Misty down in here, so let's just take this old brush and kind of get this tree started here. I've got to have a little bit of dark though to make it show up. There we go. Still needs to be a little darker. Depends on the brush, I guess. So we now have 10 trees, is that right? Or just 9? We'll have 2 or 3 more, just little ones. And I'll keep the video rolling, but I'll go ahead and say goodbye here. Thank you for watching and all that good stuff. Because all I'm doing is kind of repeating the same thing here. Not like you need to see everything again. Could you paint this quicker? Sure. Do you need to? No. And you can see what I was saying, if you got more paint back here, it's harder to do those little trees, especially when you're wanting it to be dark. So change your approach with this brush and don't pull as much, and maybe just kind of tap. Still makes a nice tree. We'll just kind of think about starting to go off the canvas here. A little crooked. I didn't mean to make it crooked. Alright. Pretty solid down here. Doesn't have to be completely solid though. Yeah, there we go. You get some really cool effects with this brush though. My watch is telling me it's time to get up and move. It's kind of like when Netflix comes on and says, hey, are you still watching? You lazy guy? Don't shame me, Netflix. I'm paying you money. There we go. And let's switch back to the filbert for, let's get it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll do 11. I think 11 was one of my numbers in Little League or something like that, so. I'll probably do 13 actually. 13 was a baseball number. I was, for being an amputee, I was fairly athletic even still. Dad would always say it was crazy how good I was at catching a football, but I couldn't run very well, so. Filbert, we'll do some little, I think they look better if you put some little branches on them. That's probably what I don't like about that fan brush one over here. There's no detail to it. If we just kind of bring out a little bit of detail here. Don't want much. Get too much in the painting. I'm almost to that point. I would probably advise stopping at that 7 point and just putting something down here like a bush or two to kind of finish it. Or bring some trees, you know, on further down. Like one of these on down, and then you wouldn't have as much in the painting. You don't want it to get too busy. If I had a bigger canvas, it'd be fine to have a lot more trees, but it's maybe too many. Again, we'll try to get to 13 probably with a couple script liners at the end. There we go. Filbert, where are you? I didn't dirty too many brushes this time. These will be easy ones to clean. It's always a plus. Big plus, actually. I can eat lunch too. Dogs aren't just hungry, I'm getting hungry. Let's do a push-up with the filbert. We did all down, didn't we? So, I know my hand's going to be kind of in the way, but all you're going to do is just kind of get in there and push up on the filbert. I just want a little bit of foliage on these anyway. Go in and kind of push up. I always change to where you don't have a straight line. See how I've got here and then connect it in the middle and then kind of bring it out on the other side. It looks a little better. Here I can put a little bit more. Just kind of making that up as we go. Again, I don't expect this to be a revolutionary painting for anyone. That's some of my problem about doing videos, guys, is I always have to think, like I said earlier, I can't do the same thing. It bothers me if I want to do it, sit down and paint, and then video it and put it on here, but it's similar to something I've already done. It feels like I'm not very creative. So painting a mountain, I love painting them, but I don't want to do videos on just painting mountains and trees all the time. And this is just a kind of a redo of a painting that I did like, and I looked at it and it looked awful. Now, it's like a year after I started painting or something, so it's not, you know, I don't take it too hard. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. We might be able to get by with 11. What we could do here, make a little, where's that dirty brush here? What if we just pulled up on these a little bit, kind of like those background trees we did. Just that color I put in with the mop brush. bunny brush, whatever you want to call it. That way it looks like there may be a little range of trees back in there. I don't know. How far away is this? I really don't. I don't know. Yeah, let's just put some little script liner trees to finish her out and call it good. You can actually, even on these, go back and put some little things off of these branches you might see in between sticking out. All these trees have branches. They don't just have this flat foliage like this. I don't want to call it foliage. Probably not right. Oh, maybe just a little script liner here. Again, it's crooked. Maybe I'm crooked. I don't know. You can make this painting into something really nice if you spend a lot of time putting some detail work and I'm not really worried about the end result here. Okay, there's what is that, 11? Let's do 13 just so we know that we. Oh, that one's just barely on there, isn't it? Oh, I just had an idea. One way to finish this out, we'll lose that tree, but that's okay. I'm gonna put one right there. Let your paint kind of run out, let your brush kind of run out of paint. And see how it gets softer? And that really helps at the top. There. We'll need one more if we're going to change the. I'll put this one right next to this guy. When I'm making exploding noises, but something like that. Okay, this will really help set the frame the painting again, kind of like we did with the big tree over there. I'll probably mess with that at the end of when I'm done with the video. I don't care if that shows really. We're gonna lose some of our tree there. It's okay. There's a little place to maybe go out there and sit now. That makes another plane there. Again, nothing fancy. There. Yeah, I like that. And if you wanted to, take a touch of paint thinner since I don't have liquid white open. A little bit of white, a little bit of green. You can always, so just a little highlight or two on there. I got a little too much paint there, but I'd probably use liquid white. And then, here I go, being crazy. I really like that look. How that knocks everything back. You could even do it over here. I'm not going to. I am going to do this. That tree lives on that land. It doesn't live behind it. You really won't see this. But if I put a little indication that the tree continues on down, there, that will look nicer, I think. And we can also just kind of make sure that that trunk's not too bold. You don't want to see it be super bold everywhere. That means that you cross-section the tree with a chainsaw or something. See how it kind of stand out all the way down the tree? Knock it in a few places, just going over it. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's sign her and be done. Now, if I wanted to keep tinkering, there's tons of things I could do to this painting. I think I'm done. Super easy, very beginnery painting. But I wanted to paint something easy today, so I think I accomplished my goal. Not bright enough. Need more white. Or just black. Let's just use black. Hey, there it went again. I called it black. It's not black. It's blue and brown. Makes like a dark green. My old head gets annoying. There we go. Alright guys. She's a finished. Thanks for watching. Everybody stay well and be well, and just continue to paint. That's all I know. If you got any good book recommendations, send them to me. Alright, I'll see you in a few days. Take care.